All right, you guys, welcome to Boss Pitch Radio. I'm here with my lovely co-hostess with the mostest,
Amanda Glitters.
Yes. And today's going to be a little feely good episode. We're hoping for you, talking about self-love, body positivity. I think because we are in such a hyper-focused sort of position in what we do every day in terms of body change and weight loss and things like that, these two things, body positivity, self-love, can kind of get lost
in the sauce.
Yeah, in that conversation.
Yeah.
But we're really body positive people, right?
All the time.
That it's one of those things where like it's our job to produce a result for a client. And so that includes the logistics with that, right?
Right.
The weight loss component or whatever their goals are. Yeah. However, we are still in the background talking about the journey with them and using a lot of the verbiage we're going to talk about today in order for them to understand and also sort of be on board with our overall mission.
I think it goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Both of them. You have to be pretty positive and you have to believe in yourself to be able to get to any goal that you're actually wanting.
Yeah, definitely. And if there's any kind of wavering or lack of trust in yourself to execute a plan, then you're probably going to struggle with that. You're just going to have a lot of self-doubt.
Yeah.
A lot of self-doubt. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what you're telling yourself often, right? Yeah. It's the voice in your head that is you, by the way.
Yeah.
The voice in your head. So really defining what that narrative is and the story that you're telling about yourself, that's where you start to need to, not proper English.
No.
That's where you need to start unpacking essentially the conversation that you are constantly having with yourself and start to really bring that to light, right? Whether that's journaling or thinking about like these repetitive thoughts that you're having.
Right.
Is that something you ever struggled with?
Like thinking bad things about myself?
Yeah. Like
Absolutely.
the self-talk is just, is there something that you can remember that stands out very vividly for you?
Nothing like in particular, because that was the thing, I was a heavy girl. I was almost 300 pounds. The funny thing about that was I didn't really see it until somebody pointed it out to me.
Yeah. Which we're actually going to talk about a little bit here as well.
People would say things that weren't super bad until somebody that I didn't know actually was like, "Oh, I love me a fat girl." And I was like, "Wait, what? What are you talking to do?" And then I was like, "Oh shit, that's me."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I never really felt really bad about myself. I feel you want to know what the one thing was? I stopped looking in the mirror. I stopped looking in the mirror.
Is there was there a reason for that? Were you like subconsciously, or you just were like, that's a mirror, I don't want to look in it?
I think it was subconscious. Cause even if you go to the bathroom, you look in the mirror when you're washing your hands. I wouldn't even do that. And then I finally realized that. And I was like, oh, like that's a problem. And I feel like we see that a lot with women, especially in the training. You should be looking in the mirror because you want to make sure that you're doing things right. Everything's lined up. You're doing the right movement. You're seeing some of the muscles, or at least you're seeing the things move,
right.
And I feel like there's a lot of women, especially that are new. They may be heavier set. They may be, really thin.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't want to look in the mirror. And it's like, that's okay. But that's going to be one of the things that I want to kind of get over.
Yes.
I want to help you get over that.
Right. And it takes some work.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh gosh. A lot of work.
Yeah. It's interesting. I know spending a lot of time in the studio, and honestly, even before we started personal training, I don't know if you can take your brain back to when we were teaching pole dance. So for those of you that may be new here, my business originally started as a pole dancing studio for women. Well, it started as pole dancing parties that eventually evolved into pole dance studio that turned into a boot camp that turned into a bodybuilding, personal training
studio
thing. So it's had quite the evolution. But even in the pole dance days, the beauty of what I loved was that the studio was covered in mirrors, right?
It still is.
And it was something that we used as part of our teaching, right? I want you to look in the mirror. I want you to touch your body. I want you to see it move. I want you to appreciate it, right? All the things.
Yeah.
And I get the chills right now just talking about it, but there were many times where women would have breakdowns. They would leave, or they would go sit in the little waiting area. And then afterwards they'd come talk to me and like, hey, I'm sorry, but like, I can't look in the mirror. Like, it's just,
I feel like there was a lot of girls too, like, cause we had 10 poles, 10 dance poles in one space. Right. And some of them are much closer to the mirrors and some of them were much farther. And you can always tell the girls that were like, I'm not really feeling that just yet. Or they are feeling themselves, but they're uncomfortable to watch themselves do the things that we were teaching them.
Yes.
But the evolution of where it came from as they practiced and they did more was crazy.
Yeah, it was really wonderful. Crazy. Definitely. But I think that when you can start to realize that you're having these recurring conversations with yourself and reframing the languaging, the negative self-talk. And I hate to be super like woo woo and whatever and be like,
you are
positive affirmations.
Right.
But a lot of this was like work we had to do, right? We had to start listening to things that were positive, hanging out with people that were positive, like everything that was coming in needed to somehow influence my thoughts in a positive way.
Yeah. And I feel like some people are like, well, how do I know if I'm being negative or not? And it's like, okay, if you're saying something about yourself and you would never, ever tell your best friend that, stop.
Most definitely.
Stop that right now.
Most definitely.
I would never tell my best friend, oh, you have a fat belly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Right. I am not a good friend.
No.
So that is telling me if I'm telling myself that, I am not a good friend to me.
Yeah.
And I'm already putting myself down to where I don't believe I can actually do the things that I really can do.
Yes. You're starting that inner dialogue of negativity and beating yourself up just through the process. Right. Yeah. So I know that I've definitely been there. I've gone through that myself. I know that one thing that I struggled with early on, and I don't know if you experienced this, but when I started competing the first, show, I got really, really lean. It's the leanest I've ever been. Of course, I feel like your first show, you usually are. And after you see yourself that lean, it's almost like any other condition that your body is in is just never good enough.
Right.
Right. Like, you're just like, that was perfection. So anything less than that, it means less about you as a person.
Yeah.
And this is just my mental, kind of stance with that whole process.
Yeah.
And I started to feel, by way of the conversation that I was having with myself, that I'm only valuable when I'm lean.
No.
Right? Like, I'm only important. I only matter. People only want to listen to what I have to say when I'm shredded and in that perfect ideal body that so many women want, right? That lean, shredded look.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like that? Or
I mean, yeah, like I could still feel like that if I wanted, I could look at myself and be like, oh God, you let yourself go. But in reality, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy with what I'm able to do. And I don't need to be shredded to think that I matter.
Yes.
Or what I'm doing matters.
Or your contribution to the world and your work, right? Yeah. And getting over that, I think it takes some time. I think it kind of, at least for me, in my journey, my health and fitness journey and all that, it is come and go, right? It's come and go.
Oh yeah.
I would say that probably the last 5 years, it's pretty gone. It doesn't really come up in terms of like negative self-talk and feeling shitty about myself and, oh, you're a loser. You can't, we talked about earlier, like binge eating and things like that. Right.
Right.
And I just don't have that dialogue with myself anymore.
Yeah. I get this a lot where clients or even friends or anybody are like, I just can't get out of this funk, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing to get out of it? Right. And I'm not going to lie. I've definitely been in there. Like, there's been times where I'm like, I have no motivation. I don't feel good about myself. I need to kind of figure out how I can get past this. Right. And it might sound really weird, but I've listened to motivational freaking YouTubes.
No, it's not weird.
And it sounds weird though.
It does. Cause it's like, that doesn't work.
It fucking works.
It does. It does. Works. And you were on a kick for a while on the stair mill where you were like, I'm just listening to motivational stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try that.
It was preachy. And I'm not very churchy at all. Like everybody knows that. But it really lit a flame in me because like what you can do is you can find the things that resonate with the problem that you have, right? Mm-hmm. Like motivation was one of them. Mm-hmm. I can't even remember.
Willpower. Yeah, it's like self-compassion.
Yes,
like there's all these different topics that you can find.
And anything I felt like I was struggling with, I just found that topic and I went on there and I watched it and it helped. Like some of them were not as great, but some of them were great.
Yeah. And I don't know if the ones that you were listening to are the ones that I was listening to, but the ones that I would find were like snippets from really like important people in whether it's like public speakers or, you know, authors.
Eric Thomas, Motiversity on YouTube. And then once you start going there, there's like a huge rabbit hole you can go down and you can find all of these things.
Yes.
If you feel like you're struggling with that, like do something about it. Stop listening to negative things. Stop talking negatively about yourself. It helps.
It does help. I think something else that helps, and I know we've talked about it a lot here on the podcast, is social media is very
Hey, go ahead. Come on.
Hi, YouTube. It's a blessing and a curse,
yes.
right? Because then you can start getting into the trap of comparison, and that does nothing positive for you, right?
Right.
So you have to know yourself, right? Do you feel better by following people that maybe are technically, according to you, in better shape and things like that? Does that motivate you? Does that drive you? Does that inspire you?
Or
are you in the other camp? Is it make it worse for you? Do you feel insignificant? Does it make you feel
not good enough?
Yeah. Does it create that monster of negative self-talk? And so I know that there's been times when I have had to go in and mute people or unfollow people and just be like, this is a trigger for me.
Yeah.
It's a trigger. I'm just going to not even deal with it. It's tempting. It's tempting to like feed that negative monster that's in your brain because you're so used to it.
Right.
But once you stop and start feeding your brain other things that are conducive, your results actually improve.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds silly, but you need to envision yourself where you want to be, not just keep pushing yourself down because of where you're at now. If you want to go somewhere, you want to do something, you have a goal, you have to envision yourself already there.
Yes.
If you're not doing that, I'm not saying it's never going to happen, but you're going to have a hard time.
It's like if you were going to build a house, right? Like you're going to build your dream castle, right? And you want to map it out and you want to know what that's going to look like, the end goal. You want a fancy tub, you want a chandelier, you want all the things. You're not going to just be like, yeah, I don't know, just build me a house. No. I don't care. It's fine. I'm just going to throw this money at you and just make me whatever, right? No. You want to start envisioning what you want your body to look like, how you want to feel, what that's going to look like, how you're going to operate in the world when you feel better, when you're more confident and things like that. And this isn't to say that you can't be confident in the body you're in.
No.
But if your desire is to work on your health and, you know, yourself, self-care, and that also includes body goals, which I don't think are a bad thing. You have to start envisioning yourself as if.
Right.
Super important.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like pole dancing did a lot of things for a lot of women. And I think that it really kind of brought us to this point where it's like, no matter what size my body was, you know, I was a coach for you. I mean, I was a teacher. And if y'all been here for a minute, you know, I don't just stay lean and I get lean and I get a little thick and I get lean, I get a little thick. No matter if I was thick or lean, I still felt the same. Now, was it always? No, there was always some times where I had to talk myself off the ledge. Like whenever, I'll tell you this right now, people try and tell me stories and they are not good stories. And they go, you want to, like, they'll say, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I go, wait, is this a good story or a bad story? Because guess what? I am not in the space for a negative story.
You know, that's, I think, why we're so close and we're like besties. Well, because we both have that same viewpoint, right? Yeah. I don't want to hear about the negative shit. I don't want to hear about the bad shit. I don't care. Does it affect me? No. I don't want to hear about it.
If it's going to affect me, okay, maybe. But other than that, like, I don't need to hear. I'm not even going to tell you because I don't want to know. And neither do you. Okay?
Yeah, we basically
I don't want to hear that shit.
Shield.
Yeah.
Shield.
Ask my husband. I literally go, nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hand is up and everything.
And I think that has really served us well because it's protected our mental space. And honestly, that's at the end of the day, that's what you have to live with is your mental house. Like what is going on up there? That is what you have to live with and carry yourself throughout the day. And if it's in disarray or disorder and it's constantly negative and unhappy, that's going to affect your mental health.
I feel like if you are in a negative space in your brain, in your mental health, that should be the number one thing that you want to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, because if you're off mentally, everything else kind of feels either a little bit harder or a little bit off.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get yourself into this kind of positive space, everything starts to fall into place.
What's your favorite saying?
Which one?
It's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine. It's fine. I do say that all the time.
Yes. But when we're talking about self-love and body positivity, there's multiple factors, right? So yes, it is primarily driven by your thoughts and the things that you allow into your mental space.
Right.
And also there are lots of other things that throw that off kilter. One can be relationships, right? Relationships and how they affect your perception of yourself, right? And you can say like, oh, nobody makes me feel a type of way. If you do, then you're allowing them to. Great. But sometimes that it gets the best of you.
I mean, let's be real. Like sometimes when you're shredded and I'm not, I'm like,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I'm still good, but I know I don't be looking like that.
Yeah. But honestly too, it's even more so like you were saying earlier, the things that people are saying, right? Because some people, and like for example, I love my grandmother dearly, but my grandmother would be the type of person in this context where she would always have to comment one way or another about our bodies, my sister and I. And it was like, oh, you're looking gordinha, which means you're like chubby and fat right now.
Yeah.
Or, she would be like, oh, taj magrinha, which is like way too thin, or you're too skinny. You need to eat food. There was never like
a good spot.
No.
Yeah.
It was
never
either
a good, positive.
And so when you are flooded with that growing up, I mean, that was very far and few between with my grandmother. My mom was never that way. My stepmom was never that way. So I had role models that weren't speaking to me in that way.
Right.
But I know not everybody is that lucky.
No, they're
right.
Not. They're not.
Yeah, I know we've had clients that are just like, oh, I was raised with a mom that put me on a diet when I was 10. And that really affected my mental health. And, that spawns into where they're at now with their body. And that's why I think we spend a lot of time telling people like, yes, we have a transformation program, right?
Right.
And also you can Google diet plans and exercise plans, and you can literally figure this shit all out on your own.
Yeah.
However, if it was that easy, everyone would be doing it, right?
Right.
So it starts with your mindset and how you perceive yourself, and also a lot of your programming from when you were younger growing up, if you had these experiences.
Right.
So for tips of that nature, it's really like you were saying, surrounding yourself with people who are body positive, who I don't know if you ever had friends like this growing up. I didn't have girlfriends growing up. Okay. I had one friend.
Right.
And so I don't have a lot of experience with this type of conversation, but I've been around enough adult women in the studio to where it's like, this role.
Yeah.
And,
oh yeah.
And all the things. And I'm like, no, like with that,
we're not doing that.
We don't do that here.
No. And that goes to show too, as I think that's something that's really hard for people is to take a compliment and say, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, well, yeah, but
yeah.
And they always want to talk down to themselves. And I'm like, somebody just gave you a compliment.
Yeah, exactly.
Take it.
Yeah.
And like, let that just be as it is. why does there always have to be a rebuttal as to why that compliment isn't sincere?
Yes. I think it's just, we're not used to accepting that.
No.
And I'm speaking for myself too, because this is something that I've had to work on over the years.
I feel like I'm still kind of working on it. Like whenever somebody gives me a compliment, I'm like, thank you.
The temptation is
rough.
there.
Yeah, it's rough. The temptation is there to say something bad about myself, but it's definitely been in practice. So if this is you, I'm challenging you now. Next time somebody gives you a compliment, just say thank you.
And no buts.
No buts.
No buts.
Unless it's your big old butt.
Unless it's your juicy booty.
That's what we're at.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that getting into our freakishly lean competition bodies has been definitely a lesson in this, because we will get that left and right. Oh my God, you look so good. You look so amazing. You look so shredded. But we're never satisfied, because it's not stage week. It's not stage day.
Can I tell you, even when I'm that lean, I don't like what I look like.
It is not my favorite.
Listen, when I go back and I look at screen, like selfies of myself from that week, from show day, from the night after, when I'm with my husband, I'm like, oh Lord,
scary spice.
Girl, you need a burger.
Yeah, you need some fat in that face.
And that's the thing, is people think, oh, you're shredded, you're lean, you must love the way you look.
Mm-hmm.
No, one, I want to be more shredded, I want to be more lean, and I want to be bigger with more muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Two, my face looks sunken.
Our faces are so ugly when we're they're so ugly. I wonder if we can find some for Alexis to
Skeletor.
Yes.
Skeletor.
I look like Steven Tyler when I am like anything like 8 weeks and under out.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You do.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. I don't like it. But here we all about talking about self-love and saying how ugly we are when we're prep.
I think it's more just to say, like, it doesn't matter if you're super lean or if you're overweight or if you're in the middle. Like, it takes work.
It does.
It takes work to be like, I like my body. I like where I'm at. And if you don't like where you're at, you need to start putting things in order to make sure that you can change that. And when you're changing that, you need to learn to love the journey as to how you're getting there, or all of these little milestones that you're getting to get to where you want so you can be positive or help be positive. They matter. It's important to celebrate that.
Yes. And we're kind of talking about sort of the next thing in the topics here, which is essentially your journey, like you're talking about now, to self-acceptance, which is, practicing gratitude, which again, I know seems cheesy, seems woo-woo, but also saying thank you is a practice in gratitude when somebody compliments you. So you may think like practicing gratitude, saying thank you.
Thank you.
Is a
even
form,
if you got to swallow it.
Exactly. It is a form of gratitude journey to acceptance.
I mean, I think another thing too is like, step away from bodybuilding. Start doing things that are skill bound and not about the way that you look.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe you play basketball and you can hit 25 3-pointers.
I don't even know what that is.
I know you don't. It's fine.
It's a rough
Your
world.
boyfriend is going to really love that I knew what that was about.
He's going to really think we're cool. That. I don't know anything. But yeah, I mean, activities that are going to focus on skills rather than aesthetics, right? Which is funny coming from us, which is a heavy aesthetic bound offering of which we do.
But I think that goes to show like pole dancing did a lot for us.
Big time.
That's a skill, bro.
It is a skill.
It's a skill.
It's a skill. And honestly, it doesn't have to be pole dancing. It could be belly dancing. It could be Pilates. It could be Zumba. It can be, maybe you go out dancing with your partner or your friends,
maybe
right?
You like to go hiking.
Yeah, something.
Maybe you're a bowler. I'm just pulling shit out of my ass.
I suck at bowling, but
oh my God, I break a nail every time I go. So I don't like to go.
But really just knowing that you can do other activities. It doesn't have to be, you can have your body goal activity, and you can also do other things that feed your like ego biscuits, right? You're giving yourself these little ego biscuits like, I'm good at this. I love this. I enjoy this. I'm multifaceted. I'm not just here for my, for people to think I'm either in shape or out of shape, right? Because this is where my brain lived for a very long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But next on the topic is getting into an environment that cultivates these kinds of positive vibes.
Right.
Your good vibe tribe.
Yeah.
We have a good vibe tribe.
We have an amazing vibe tribe.
Yes.
I love it.
In
so good.
The community that we have at Venus is amazing, right? Like CrossFit always has their little like cultish thing, you know, the boot camps, like everyone in their little niche of fitness. And I just think that our little community, the message that we spread throughout the studio and how we interact with our clients is a lot of what you're hearing in this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So your tribe, super important for empowerment, for cultivating that positive mindset.
You know what? And that's the thing too, is I know that like we're talking about like people in the gym and we have a studio where we have a really good tribe, but that your tribe does not have to be in your vicinity.
Exactly.
Your tribe can be across the country. As long as you are both positive, you're both on the same page, you have support, that's your tribe.
It definitely is.
That's your tribe.
There are so many options for this online in terms of finding little communities. And I know it's challenging when you're like the new girl at school and you're trying to find your friend group.
Right.
And I'm a classic case of like awkwardness for that kind of thing. But honestly, when you just take that step and you just do it, you get into some kind of, whether, I don't know, forums are really a thing anymore, but maybe some kind of YouTube community. I know there's a lot of like little YouTube cults and things like that as well, where you can find your people and let that be your little hub of resource. I mean, even Facebook groups.
That's the funny thing too, is like I follow some competitors and whatnot. Never met these girls in their lives, but we're like best friends on Instagram and I'm like cheering them on and they're like cheering me on. And it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome to kind of have like, even if they're just acquaintances, even if you don't talk, like have people that are in your corner.
I have so many little friends on Instagram, which is wonderful. And some of you that might even be listening now.
Yeah.
That like, I know about their lives and they know about, obviously about mine.
Right.
But I mean, they share photos with me. They tell me about their dating life, you know, anything kind of common ground that we have. It's like, they share that. And so if you are an Instagram friend over on the gram, for me, at least I'm speaking for myself, like, don't be shy.
Yeah, no, don't be shy.
Slide in the DMs. I mean, I answer everybody. I'm like, I can't stand a notification to save my life. So I'm always in there. But yeah, it's super important to find your tribe.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that we see often, and I'm sure some of you who are listening can probably resonate. And if you're watching the tubes, comment below if this is you, where you are waiting to fit into certain clothes in your closet and you're not going to buy anything new until you fit into XYZ jeans that you wore 5-10 years ago.
Right.
And I've been there.
Yes.
I know my first show, I got down to a size 0 and I went into a store in the mall called Buckle.
Ha!
And
sorry.
Yeah. It's kind of, you know,
that's cringy.
It is a little, it's not too bad sometimes, but yes, the jeans I bought were cringy. And I remember going in there, I think I was maybe 3 weeks out from my show and nothing fit me. Like the pants she kept bringing me sizes. At first it was a 4, then it was a 2, then it was a 0. And I was like, these zeros fit me.
Weird.
And they were even a little bit baggy and it was weird. And I kept them for years thinking I was going to get back in them. And they never resurfaced. I think I wore them like 3 or 4 times. And rather than like beat myself up about it, I'm like, I need to let that go. Like it's sitting in my closet as a constant reminder of a body I will not ever have again. It just wasn't even feasible. I put on too much muscle. It wasn't going to happen.
Right.
And I thought I was going to be able to sustain my off-season body and wear a 0. Yeah, that's not happening.
I think, you know, and that's another thing too, is like, get clothes that fit you. Now, listen, if you're trying to be smaller or you're trying to be bigger, don't buy a whole new wardrobe. Okay. But have a few things in your arsenal to where you're like, I feel good in this. You don't feel like something's too tight. You're uncomfortable. You can't sit. So like, that's another thing too, is I'm going to tell you right now, I have like 3 different sizes of clothes, right? Because of the business that I'm in, because of what I do as a competitor but that's the thing. I do not try and fit into the clothes that don't fit me.
You know that they're there for when you're
I know that they're there for when I'm there, right? So I have a box in my closet. It's like a Tupperware, whatever. And my drawers, they switch out depending on the season of my life. If I'm in prep, the little baby clothes come out. If I'm regular right now, like my normal clothes come out. If I'm getting a little thick, I have a few extras, but that's a small amount of things because trust me, I don't want to be in that because I like where I'm at and I want to stay there.
I do as well have a little bit of a range. Yeah. I know that for me, I know I'm not competing. So I got rid of anything that was like unrealistic for me to keep. Like I'm not going to be 145 pounds just normally. And that's not even my show weight. I'm like 132. Yeah. So I'm definitely not going to be that. So yeah, it's like clear that out. And the other reason why this is important is because if you are like, I'm just going to live in sweatpants and grossy clothes, sloppy sandwich clothes until you can fit into your other clothes because you don't want to spend money on buy clothes because you don't want to stay that size. Yeah. I know people like that. I've trained them forever. Okay. Yeah. It's really hard for you to want to engage in social activities and do things and whatnot because you don't have anything to wear. You don't feel good about the stuff that you do have to wear. Right. And so you're just stuck in this kind of like mental prison. And to that, I would say, buy a couple like versatile pieces that make you feel good when you wear them. Yeah. Right. Doesn't have to be anything elaborate, just some classic things, you know, some pieces that are basic so you can do your functions and enjoy yourself and do the things. And if you aren't doing anything to improve your health and kind of, you know, bring yourself to a body fat percentage that's healthy, right, for you, then rather than wait till you get into that shape, and if you continue to struggle with doing that on your own, take that money and throw it at a personal trainer, okay? Right. Or a transformation program like Selfish Plug, the Goddess Body Project, right? Like, yeah, put that money into something that is going to make you feel good, energized, strong, like all these other adjectives. And at the end of the adjective list, also like look better, right, to whatever that means for you. Right. And then you will feel better about the process, right? You'll be excited to dress your body and do those things and feel good.
Right. And I think also like having clothes that fit you makes you feel better.
Yes.
It makes you feel better.
Right. Bottom line. Yeah. Okay. Then the next one is, which we talked about a little bit already, is finding some empowerment through your fitness journey. And I know that can be challenging when you're new. And you're, you know, trying something new for the first time. We see a lot of girls that come into the studio who have never trained the way that we train. Right. And it can be disorienting and things like that. And it takes them a minute, but thankfully they're in a supportive environment. Yeah. And we really nurture that and, you know, help them come up to speed with feeling happy in that process. Right. Right. But exploring different workouts that you enjoy. We talked about pole dancing. We talked about Zumba. Right. And also setting non-scale goals that keep you focused and not necessarily anchored to every day you get on the scale and this isn't working.
I think one thing that we've really been diving into in the studio, especially with some of my new The Goddess Body Project girls, some of them are wrapping up their 12 weeks. They started with body weighted hip thrusts. Yeah. No dumbbells, no barbell, nothing. Started there, right? Bands. And, you know, then we worked up to maybe a dumbbell on their hips. And now 12 weeks, we've worked them up to be comfortable enough to hit 170, 200 pounds on a hip thrust.
That's incredible.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
And it's likely things they would have never tried on their own at the gym.
No, she's absolutely told me in her check-in, she's like, I got a PR with Monica the other day. I hit 170. I would have never done that. Yeah. Ever in my life.
And that's where it's like, enjoy that journey. Like, yes, when we're in something like a transformation program or, you know, competition prep is kind of a different conversation, but you're likely joining because you have scale goals. That's really a lot of what we see. Like, I need to lose 15 pounds. I need to lose 20 pounds, whatever. Okay, great. But we dig in a little bit more to that, right? Like, let's find other things besides that And you will compile a gigantic list of positive things when you go through a transformation program.
Yeah.
That is like ours. Let
Yeah.
me just put it that way. It's not like, here, just eat white fish and asparagus for 12 weeks.
No.
We don't do that shit.
No.
But we are going to help you find other things that came out as a benefit of your journey through the program. And also you're going to see body change.
Right. No, I think another really great person to talk about is Naomi.
Oh,
we
yes.
Talked about her,
yes.
Talked to her the other day. She came in like just wanting to kind of change her body. We didn't really know if she was going to like lose weight or whatever. Basically, she didn't really lose any more than like 3 pounds. Her body has completely changed. And she was training for a fitness test that no girl really ever passes. And she passed.
Well, I think we were talking to them, Roxy, her mom, and Naomi. And Naomi was kind of like, she's a college athlete. She plays soccer. She's exceptional. And her mom was like, I know who can kick your ass.
She's like, I know who can.
And
like,
we don't do this with everybody, right? Like, she's an athlete. When we do personal training, we know who our people are, and we know like Mrs. Jones, who's never done a hip thrust, and Naomi, who sprints for soccer, right?
Exactly.
So she was telling us this weekend, like, it was incredible because Naomi did our 12-week Goddess Body project, and she fucking smoked that test. Like, she passed it, but she had done it before and she did not pass.
Correct.
So it's things like that, right? Like, yeah, she lost 3 pounds. Her body composition changed. She gained more muscle. She lost body fat. Her overall physique changed. But this is paying off for her sport that she's in too.
In performance.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So all that to say, set some non-scale goals that don't beat you up, because the scale is forever a moving situation.
Right.
You know, it's not going to constantly trend down. It's just not. You'll hit a plateau. It might be up, it might be down. And that's just by the nature of so many things, which we talk about all the time. But setting non-scale goals, super important. And we've talked about also trying new activities, doing new things, keeping it fun, engaging. Like, I try to get in yoga once a week. You know, as simple as like dancing in my fucking kitchen. Like, I just like to just keep moving, do other things that aren't just like, I just bodybuild and do cardio. Right? Like, we love dancing on the weekends.
We do all kinds of things.
And things like that. We hike, we'll do yoga, all that to say, just keep it fresh, keep it interesting. And we're going to go back to the pole dancing.
Yeah.
You know, that was a huge one for us.
I've actually gone back to that recently. I've unfortunately, it's on the back burner right now, but it felt great getting back on the pole.
Yeah, it really does.
It did.
I took a couple classes, 2-3 months ago, and I was like, man, I miss this so much. Like, last night I was by myself. My boyfriend wasn't here. And I was like, you know what? And I have hardwood floors. I'm like, I really just want to put on like some knee-high socks, some booty shorts,
and slink around the floor,
slide all over the floor and do my central movement, because I fucking love that shit. And the bathtub was my self-care ritual that took precedence. But yeah. Do you ever have that like urge?
All the time.
Yeah, I know. We miss it so bad. You have a pole in your house, and that's awesome.
Do.
Now, tools that you can take. We've obviously given you lots of hints and tips and strategies and things like that. And we're your cheerleaders here. One of which is like daily affirmations, but that can also be in the form of the motivational
speaking,
YouTubes.
Anybody that is positive Pollyanna here.
Yeah. Audiobooks, ebooks, books in general, just filling your mental wheelhouse with things that are going to add like fertilizer into the ground of positivity in your brain.
Right.
Right. One of the other things is like a mindfulness practice, which is a little more challenging, I think, because of the busy world that we live in.
Yeah.
Meditation is hard for me. And I've tried on and off.
I think that's what they say.
It is. It's supposed to be.
Yeah,
it's,
meditation is hard.
It's your internal resistance. But something that I find that works for me, and I consider a mindfulness practice, is my nightly walks. Like, I've been walking almost every single night. I'm not on my phone. Most of the time I don't have anything in my ears.
Right.
And I'm just thinking, clearing my head. How did the day go? I'm just processing the day's events and like, where could I have been better for myself? Just really doing a self evaluation kind of audit of the day feels nice.
Yeah.
And I know you're not a journaler, but this is also another way that you can bring in that mindfulness practice. Is journaling is super, super helpful. Mm-hmm. And I have a link and a code for the Full Focus Journal. We'll put that in the show notes. That's my favorite right now because it prompts you. So if you're like Amanda, and
I think that's a huge thing. It's like, what am I supposed to write about? They're like, write what's in your head. And I'm like, I don't know what's in there.
Yeah. I mean, a blank page can be really intimidating.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's right there. Will you grab it? It's right underneath the business card. It's the spiral bound one. This is my new one. So when my other one is close to full, and then we didn't really mean to put this in here, but today,
here it is.
But this is the Full Focus Journal. And just so you guys can kind of see, this is the planner. This is the planner, but the planner is great too. And it does give you you have little motivational quotes and stuff at the top, but this is also a great space where you can brain dump and all the things with your day and just kind of put it all on paper and bring some mindfulness to your day. But they have, a journal that's amazing for you to actually journal all the things. We did talk a little bit about self-care rituals.
Yeah.
My bath time.
Honestly, my self-care is just sitting and not doing anything for a second,
which is self-care for you because that's not something you normally do.
No, I try and at least have 5 minutes where I'm just by myself.
Yes.
Nothing. I'm not even on my phone.
No,
I'm just sitting there breathing. Breathing. Yeah.
I have one little self-care thing, which maybe people don't think is self-care, but I really encourage you and I challenge you to do this. I love taking selfies. Okay. I'm going to not even lie right now, but mirror ones. Okay.
Right.
Mirror ones and
if
I'm
they
cute.
Follow you, they know.
Yeah. I'm cute today. Girl be loving herself.
No, I think that's a good thing too. Most of the time when people aren't feeling in a positive space, you don't want to take pictures.
And that's when I take them the most these days.
And I think it's a practice more than anything. And my biggest thing too is we have some girls in the studio. We're playing a little game to where if you tag the studio and you send us a screenshot of it, you get your name in a little box and we're going to have a little drawing and whatnot. And I know that some of these girls are I don't want to take a picture of myself. So they take a picture of the gym. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all you got to do. And then look at you. There you go.
Well, to my point, I have to tell you a story. So I love my body.
Oh God. Is this a story?
It's a story.
Is this a story?
I promise it's not to be braggadocious, but I want everybody to be in the spot that we're at where we're we're going to a New Year's Eve party where we're going to be scantily clad. You were at a party over the summer where you were in pasties, right?
I was.
And a thong bikini, right?
I was.
And you weren't shredded.
No.
No. It was cool. It was whatever.
10 pounds heavier than I am now.
Exactly. So for me, okay, I bought this really large, obnoxious mirror that I have been fantasizing over for a couple years. And it was
beautiful.
An investment. And I knew that when I had a place and things, I wanted to buy this mirror. Well, I don't have a TV, but I have a fucking giant mirror. And that is where my TV goes, or it's supposed to go, right? Yeah. The hole in the wall for the TV is right there. Giant mirror and this beautiful marble, what is that? A coffee table. And the other day I was out of the shower, I had my little robe on. I was naked because now I live by myself. My boyfriend wasn't here. And I come downstairs and I walk over and I'm girl. I was bloated. I was on my period. It was a whole thing, but I don't fucking care. I'm I sat on my little marble coffee table and I just kind of opened up my robe and I leaned back and I just looked like a goddess. And I was I'm going to take a picture and send this to my man. Okay. My boobies were out. Right. I had the lady parts down below. They were covered and it was tasteful, but topless. Right. He absolutely fucking loved it. Just oh my God, you're amazing. He's the best thing ever. Right. Well, the point to this story is take the selfies because in 20 years, you're going to be damn, I wish I would have valued how my body looked 20 years ago.
Yeah. I actually saw this meme, right? We call them memes. It says 16. I love my body. 20. I wish I looked like I did when I was 16. 25, wish I looked like I did when I was 20. 30, same, all the way till somebody's 70, right?
Fuck that
And
bitch.
it said at 70, I wish I would have just enjoyed my life.
Enjoy that fucking body.
That's right.
Only I would show you my boobies right now, but we got to keep it clean for YouTube.
Censored. Okay?
But funny story, not related, but kind of related, is the other day I was showing my youngest son something in my phone, and I accidentally scrolled over, and I was like, oh my God. And he's like, Mom, you are feeling yourself. And I'm like, I'm so sorry you had to see that. And he just kind of laughed. And thankfully, like, my kids and I have like a great relationship.
He's been around you for a while. He's not surprised.
He's seen me pole dancing and all the things. And that's the
when he was like tiny.
He was in diapers. Yeah. And he's going to be 18. So we're all this to say is life is too motherfucking short.
Have fun.
It's too short, right? Like, even when you get to the body that you feel is your perfect body, you're still going to find reasons to be unhappy with it.
Oh yeah.
Trust me. We have looked like statues. Okay. Statues
of
perfect physiques, perfect according to bodybuilding standards.
Right.
And we could still tell you 10 things that were wrong with our physiques back then.
Yeah.
Right. Now I'm like, that's not ideal. I was hungry and miserable and tired and cranky, and it's not worth a 6-pack. Okay.
No.
And I feel healthy and strong and vibrant and have cultivated this positive mindset. And I think that is, it's a great place to live in your brain, because it's the only place you have to live.
Yeah. I feel like if anything, what we could do is that we could just kind of push that on everybody.
Yeah, we're trying to be pushers.
Yeah, I'm pushing.
We're trying to push you to love thyself.
Ah,
well, that was fun.
That was good.
It was good. I hope you felt good listening to this, and it lights a fire in you to change your way of thinking, surround yourself with positivity, and start taking some of these tips and putting them into action.
Yeah.
And if you want to hang out with us more, you want more of this positive Pollyanna posse.
Yeah, that's
the posse. Right. The Goddess Body Project is starting very, very soon. It's our 12-week transformation program. We have a group component. You're going to be in a community online with other women who are also doing all the things. Every week we'll have coaching calls live on Zoom with myself, with Coach Ish. Glitter will be popping in, and we're going to keep you on track. Okay. Yeah. So check it out. DM us if you have any questions.
That's right.
And we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.